Can we talk a little bit about QXO, a little bit about your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think QXO is a compelling opportunity, including today in the public markets. I'll tell you why. So, Brad Jacobs, the founder of QXO, Brad Jacobs, he created the business now known as Waste Management. He created Waste Services acquired by Waste Management. He created United Rentals, which is 100x in public markets, ticker URI. He created XPO Logistics. And what he does is he's considered like the roll-up king. He finds a highly fragmented industry and does M&A. He dropped out of college when he was like 21 or so and started acquiring like waste management companies, the folks that pick up your garbage in the morning. It's a waste management company. He creates scale, then he makes the operation efficient by cutting the corporate overhead, negotiating with suppliers to get better costs. And the bigger you are, the better pricing you get and the better financing access you have. So he's done that 3 times now. There are Harvard Business School case studies on what he's done. There's McKinsey case studies on what he's done. He wrote a book called How to Make Billions earlier this year. He was interviewed by Tracy Alloway and Joe Weisenthal, actually twice on the Odd Lots podcast. Take a look at the show from early July, by the way, if you want to learn more about Brad. But so now he wants to go after the builder supply materials category. So the builder supply materials category is really selling to residential contractors and commercial contractors. So like selling like lumber or like window parts. It's a highly fragmented industry and it benefits from consolidation. That's the thesis. His objective is to build a $50 billion revenue business in 5 to 8 years. So he did a reverse merger to go public. It's not a SPAC, by the way, but he did a reverse merger to go public. He didn't want to pay investment banking fees. And the basic strategy is you take your public markets currency, you mean your equity multiple plus debt financing, which I think Morgan Stanley is going to arrange, and you buy companies with cheap multiples and you capture that spread. Or if you're buying a company with a 6 times earnings and your multiple is say 12, 15, 18, 20, 25 earnings, then you're creating value from that. So the two comps of this business are BLDR, Builders First Source, ticker BLDR, and the other is BLD, Top Build.
What do you think will happen? Any time frame, any return
I think
expected?
what's going to happen with QXO is first they need to clarify the story from the market, which I think creates the opportunity now. The fact there's confusion around it creates an opportunity to own it and buy it. I think it's a good position size for us. I think what happens is the key catalyst will be the first M&A transaction. I don't have this from company management, by the way. None of this is material, non-public information. This is just me looking at Brad's playbook and listening to he's been very prolific on all sorts of podcasts and interviews. I think the catalyst is going to be an M&A transaction. I think that gets done in the next 3 months. And one, number two, I expect Morgan Stanley, who's doing the debt financing for this, they will issue a buy rating on the stock before year end, but they have to wait for a quarter of earnings. And if they buy a large company, I think that'll be interesting. I don't know if they will or won't, but I think their appetite, if they're going to be $50 billion revenue company in 5 to 7 years, and they have to do some large scale M&A. So I think that's that. And it just compounds, right? They buy these businesses, it's a compounder with the primary levers M&A. But I think those are the main catalysts to look for. I think it's idiosyncratic too, meaning it's not as correlated with markets. Yeah, I think it's an interesting idea. If you're a long-term investor, which you should be, I think this compounds and I believe it can do quite well. I mean, Brad's a proven operator. He has a track record of execution. He's lined up the debt financing. He's got a great team. So they just have to do what they said they're going to do. And they've done it throughout their careers.